All right, this is Gimbalabs Open Spaces 2024. We've been getting together for the last few months after launching the year with some governance conversations just to get together and create an agenda in real time. I'm so excited to share that this was the structure of the Cardano Buidler Fest conference that happened in France last week. It was a 2-day conference. The first day was full of scheduled talks that people applied to. All of the talks were fabulous. I wish they were recorded. It was some incredible knowledge was shared. But then the second day was purely an open spaces day. So a lot of these things that we've been doing here in this online place with whoever shows up, the same thing happened in a room with 100 Cardano developers in it. And it was a pretty great experience. And the best news is that now we have a global community of Cardano devs who have experienced open spaces, and we can keep doing it. There was a lot of energy to do more conferences like this. So we do it here. We do kind of a protracted version of open spaces where every Wednesday and Thursday we get together from 1430 to 1600 UTC. If you're watching this video on YouTube, you can find a link to this meeting at gimbalabs.com/calendar. And what we do to start each meeting is set a timer for just a couple minutes, 2 minutes, to collect our thoughts and drop some stickies on the board about what we might want to talk about today. So today's the first day of May, 2024. Oh, Miro just updated. Going to turn on the clock again. As always, if you have access to Miro, jump in. If you don't, just unmute or drop a line in the chat if there's something you want to discuss. Otherwise, see you in 2 minutes. Okay, as expected, we've got plenty on here. This is great. Let's move from left to right like usual. Harsha, is this one you?
Yes, that's me.
Okay, I think that's perfect to keep that in the main room. Is it okay if we hold off and just assume we'll do this?
Yeah, for sure.
And I'll do the same here. With whatever time we have able, I'd love to share some updates on PPBL 24, get into working sessions. Don't think there's too much more to share there. How about updates, Gimbalabs website?
Yeah, I'd like to spend a little time on that if possible.
in a breakout room?
I prefer to do it with the group. I don't know about the time for today, but yeah, I prefer to do it in the group.
Okay. And is the proposal document, you've got a driver and a proposal ready to go?
Pretty much, yeah.
Awesome. Okay. DevOps solution for Intersect. Alex, is this you?
Yeah,
You want to say a word or two about that?
yeah. So, well, um, hope we all agree that getting contracts and work that it's funded is a good way and a good thing for the whole community here. I kind of maybe stepped over my boundaries and I applied for the grant from Intersect as a Gimbalabs. It was a while ago. After some consideration, they got back to me and now they're asking about our team and our team's expertise. Who's gonna do it? And yeah, who's gonna do it and what did they do this before? I didn't do a lot of things that are required before. In particular, has to be done some work on Kubernetes and Terraform. So if there are any people who would like to work on a funded proposal, it's not yet funded. We have to submit information about ourselves, the team, and our skills. And let's have a team of 2 or 3 people, including myself, to work on this proposal. It will be an intensive sprint for 4 weeks, and then 6 or 7 months of maintenance and keeping an eye on the DevOps tool, DevOps system for governance tools, so fixing bugs and helping developers do this stuff. Yeah. So if anyone knows Kubernetes and Terraform well, raise your hand, please. That's all.
That sounds like a good breakout room to have some time to align on that.
I think if there are no people who are just ready to raise their hand now, I'd rather just you know, let it go. Just I don't know who's gonna like. Do we have any expertise on this, or we don't have any expertise on this? I can try to kind of summarize my knowledge and send, and maybe we can get the proposal funded. Maybe not.
Yeah, if there's people who have time to jump into that scope, I think that's a good use of a breakout room. I know you and I had some DMs about this morning. I know that I cannot possibly materialize more minutes to take on another project right now.
Yeah, I'm not kind of asking you to do this. I hope there will be other community members who have interest in that. So I don't see any raise of hands. So, you know, well, don't beat the dead horse. Just let it die.
Sure. Okay. How about this one? Updates from Toulouse.
Yeah, that's me. I would like to a short 5 minutes around your takes in the Toulouse Builders, because that's a promise that I did to our members community. So maybe it's good to know a little bit about what's happening in this ecosystem at that level.
If we keep that like quick, is that okay if I move that one over here?
Sure.
Quick share. And Newman, and plan for next governance season.
Yeah, I guess that's what this is about, like not wanting to stay stuck in governance. Last week, I worked on the community circles sort of delegation canvas, which is like what's the current situation, what's the effect of the situation, and it was great. But I'd like to move into the action part, and mostly what personally my action part is right now is getting ready to PBL, and with the community and onboarding, trust building in mind, that there will be a lot of new people coming in, or there will be new people coming in that are starting the course, and I feel like the community circle really needs to sort of support that in the non-technical ways, just so that they know that people are here and that they can, here's where the lunchroom, someone to sit with at lunch, or et cetera, et cetera. So I guess it's just, what is the action of the community onboarding circle in this time, and not governance? Like, I don't want to do any S3. I don't want to do any of that. I just want to do community onboarding and trust building action, I guess.
Is there a pattern in S3 that talks about that moment at which you're deep enough into S3 that you want to spend a little time not talking about it?
Yeah. I would look at that.
Fascinated by
It
this.
sounds like you need to build a backlog
Okay.
of things to do. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like we're doing it right, because like I feel like it's a very productive urge to move into a doing phase. But Nori, thanks for that. Yeah. Maybe that's
The word governance. S3 splits governance and operations, and people want to jump into operations. So if governance is in a good spot, make a backlog of things to do, and people can start to pull tasks in and just execute.
Nice.
Yeah.
So maybe I will stick around for the main room for these things, but then maybe like start creating that backlog, or like let everyone know that I'm around to do the community parts of the new PBL.
That is awesome. And there's a connection I'd love to make to that briefly here. So it looks like we've got a pretty good opening main room agenda. If we go to Harsha with community site, I can share like a moment of impressions from the dev conference. And if people have questions, happy to take those. Jump to Ken's proposal for the website. And then just a quick note that I was hoping to share that's kind of related to this question of how we're spending time, what seasons we're in, before then launching into some nifty breakout rooms.
Nice.
68 minutes. Is this ambitious enough for the next 68 minutes? We're about to find out. Harsha, let's kick it to you first. I'm happy to keep sharing unless you want to.
No, that's fine. You can share it. I'll just explain what I'm looking for, and then people can fill in stuff whenever. So the basic idea is to finalize the content that goes into the website. And by content, I mean text content. So I was looking for ideas for text content that might go into each of these sections. And these are the questions I have. So people can put in ideas or write the full text or like the full sentence. For example, how do we explain to users what Gimbalabs Hong Kong is in 30 to 50 words? So people can put in ideas, and we'll have the whole of today to put in ideas. And tomorrow I was thinking people can upvote ideas that vibe with them. And all of this information I want to take to Hinson, and so that he can make a final decision on what goes in. Does anyone think it should be done in a different way? Or does that make sense? Should the final say go to Hinson, or what are you guys thinking?
I think final say to Hinson is, that seems appropriate.
Yeah, so today, like whoever has time can put in ideas or write full sentences on what goes in. And then tomorrow we can do a quick opinion check or vote. Does all of that sound good? Or if there are any other questions, please feel free to ask if I haven't explained everything properly.
Thank you for just the thoughtfulness. I think this is such a brilliant way to write copy as a community. Thank you.
Sure.
And this a little bit, this kind of speaks to one of the concepts that was in the evolutionary organizations literature that some of us were deep into maybe last year, is just this concept of an advice process, right? So it's like we're collecting advice here that Hinson can use, but ultimately from whatever advice he gets, he can make a final decision about exactly what words end up here.
Mhm.
And so this pattern repeats in a few more spots like this.
Yeah, the pattern repeats. And for sections like this, for example, the second section, what I want to know is what information would be relevant to users. For example, they'll see that upcoming events are there and there are these community projects. So what information should go into the community projects so that it invites the users to participate in Gimbalabs Hong Kong?
Right.
So similarly, like each section has different questions. What resources would be most valuable to Gimbalabs Hong Kong community and regular Gimbalabs community? And the taglines for like Plutus PBL, Mesh PBL, what tagline would be exciting for people to join a course or explore a course?
Other questions or comments? Harsha, as soon as we wrap this meeting, I'll upload this video to the YouTube. And then how would you feel about sharing a time-stamped link to this conversation and just pinging everybody on the Gimbalabs Discord server?
Yeah, that works. Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, cool. I'll let you know as soon as the video is live.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Thanks. Awesome. Wow, that looks really good. That's really exciting. Agenda. So yeah, if regarding the dev conference, moving on to this agenda item, there's plenty to say. I just think it was a great event. And so what I shared, Chris and Claudio and I had a chance to get together for a nice small Mesh PBL session yesterday. And I'll share the same headlines. One is it was just a really, really well-run event. K-Tours, so Matthias Bancourt, who has the Twitter handle K-Tours, is one of the founders of Ogmi. Well, he is the founder of Ogmios, one of the founders of Aiken, is working very closely with Cardano Foundation now. And Toulouse is his hometown, so that's why it was here. Just he and Arnaud, the other organizer, did such an incredible job. And one of the things they said was really important to them is that if we decide as a community to do this again, it's important that it is in different places every year, right? It would be so easy to just do the same event in Toulouse next year. But if to really do this right, let's try to have different event organizers in different places around the planet, and maybe soon enough not even limit ourselves to once a year, right? This is a model that we can keep running with. So just that, it was such a generous, open-hearted, and well-run event with, I think, really good ideas in mind. I mentioned earlier they ran open spaces. I'm just so over the moon excited that now we have a community of Cardano developers who have experienced open spaces. And there was some talk about, like next time we do this, maybe we don't even need to pre-plan any agenda because the open spaces are so valuable. And a lot of people's one constructive critique people had of the event is that it felt like every open space ended too soon because there was always more to talk about, or people were just getting into the meat of the technical conversation. And that's such great feedback, right? That's the length of a session is a parameter that's easy to tweak. And now that people have had that experience, we can move forward with that. Overall, the vibe was good. Just collaborative. I don't think it comes as a surprise to many that, whatever's happening in the broader market, Cardano developers are focused. And so there's a really shared belief that we're building things that matter. There was a lot of conversation about the need, however, for solutions that offer more utility. And so it's exciting to think about some of the work we're doing around here, looking beyond DeFi toward governance, learning how to work together, even in something like a session like this one that we do on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So it's good to be thinking about really holistically, the thought experiment that if Cardano actually were to make a positive impact on the world, like what would that actually look like? What would that mean? And I can't escape the feeling that some part of that has to do with governance. And as challenging as it might be to be a developer, it's always going to take hard work and ingenuity to be good at that. The stuff we're doing here is equally important. So excited about that. And then just broadly, like having the chance to talk to devs about design patterns and best practices, and to understand that in a lot of the work we've been doing, I think there was a lot of self-doubt among Cardano developers early on because, for example, we were promised a Plutus application backend that some people, myself included, we waited for it to arrive instead of really thinking about what it was supposed to be. And only, later than we could have, we realized what was actually being built and that there were ways to do it. And I think I went through personally a period of self-doubt. I was like, am I seeing these patterns correctly? Or am I just imagining things? And to be with people who had gone through similar experiences, and now we're really starting to be able to align on, no, here are some common challenges to development. UTXO management is always going to be hard. So we got to be real about that. And, the list could go on. And I think we have a chance to communicate some of these concepts in Plutus PBL. And I can speak personally, I'll be bringing just a higher level of confidence to that course, having had a chance to talk about some of these concepts. So I know I'm painting in pretty broad strokes right here. Obviously, there's detailed stuff that we could spend more time on. But does anybody have questions, or is there anything you'd like to hear more specifically about?
I'm stoked that it was in France. I mean, you flew to France. That's awesome.
Yeah, to France and back since we last talked.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's cool.
Uh,
And who all was there? Was anybody else on the call there?
who's anybody? I'm not looking at the list. Where's my Zoom? I guess if you were there. Some highlights. I met John Adji for the first time. Man, it was so nice to spend time with him.
Oh, that's super great.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I didn't know he was coming. So when he walked into the auditorium the first day, I almost cried. And got some quality time with Felix. Felix lives not too far away and used to live in Toulouse. So he showed us around and showed us where to get a good crepe.
Oh, nice. Is there like a link? Did you guys create like a document or was there an organizer sort of thing? Like, because now I'm interested. Now I'm like, oh shit, Felix and
Great
John were there.
question. Okay, so no, there was.
But I don't, it's
It,
just
it takes some pressure off to not have some public deliverable hanging over the event, right? And
yeah.
it seems like that's kind of where it came from. Let me drop onto this Miro board the Open Spaces board that we produced on Wednesday morning.
Yeah, that would be super great.
I think I have a high enough fidelity image that you'll be able to zoom in and read it. Let me see if this works. Come on, AirDrop. You got this. What else? While I'm doing that, Nori, I see you unmuted. What's up?
Oh, sorry. I just reconnected with my computer rather than my cell phone.
Cool.
It defaulted to mic on. Sorry.
Hey. Gosh, I wish I could.
Well, I think that, yeah, a developer conference, like figuring out like what are the developer issues and what are, what's, what we all talk about when we get into a room together, I think is pretty actionable intel. It's an important thing for us to keep at top of mind so that we're aligned, with like what is going on. Because things change in the ecosystem quite frequently.
That's right. And right, some of the conversations were protocol level, right? So in one room over here, you've got the geniuses from TX Pipe talking about how they're going to implement Cardano node in Rust, right? And so TX Pipe is leading the effort to give us a Rust native Cardano node. Blink Labs is doing the same thing for a Go native Cardano node. And Chris just has a really strong vision of building, for example, not a monolithic application, but to build the Cardano node as an aggregation of component parts, each of which can be scaled individually. And so a simple example would be not everybody needs the part of the node that's minting and verifying blocks, right? Only SPOs really need that. But a lot of people need the part of the node that's validating transactions, right? What if I could just scale up the validation part, but not the block producing part? And so things like that, and that's just one example of kind of the protocol level work that's happening and what people are thinking about. There were conversations about Hydra, for example. There were some really interesting conversations. Some of you know Juan from Salvador from Spain. He was there involved in a lot of like the zero knowledge proof conversations. There was an epic lecture from, oh shoot, I'm blanking on his name because I'm thinking right now. But there was a great lecture from one of the experts on zero knowledge at IOG who kind of, I felt like I was back in like a university level math class, trying my very best to keep up with the details. So stuff like that's going on. But on the other side, right, there were kind of more of the app developer facing conversations. So a lot of you know Welsh, he's been here at Gimbalabs over the years. He wanted to have a conversation like, okay, based on what we know at this point, what would the perfect transaction building library look like? And we had a fun conversation about that. Jingles sat down at the table for that one. And then he called Hinson and he had Hinson on the FaceTime just to get some
Nice.
So that was a fun moment. Niels from, it's not called Hazelbot anymore, but Niels lives in the Northwest. What else is he working on? But he's been around for a long time. And he led a conversation about indexer options. And he did a great job. One of the outputs from that conversation was a Miro board that provides a mind map of different Cardano indexers and why people might want to use one or the other. And so I asked him for that link and if we could use it in the Plutus PBL course. He said, of course. So I'll make sure to share that link as one artifact. Oh, and then of course, and then there was a really fun, so some of you attended the playground presentation with Santi and Fede from TX Pipe, where they demoed Asteria. So we actually had like 20 people in a room playing Asteria together for the first time, trying to get the transactions to work and watching the spaceships move around the screen. That was a super fun experience that I wish everybody here could have. And I think that during the PBL course, we can at least approximate like a live version of that. And so I brought that to Claudio and Chris at Mesh Live Coding yesterday to start building out some of the transactions for playing around with Asteria and doing so in a way that allows us to create easier and more difficult iterations of the game, right? Because it's a headless app. It's a parameterized set of smart contracts. They can be instantiated many times with different parameters. So I think that's going to be a really, really compelling thread to follow. We've talked about that before in the PBL planning, but seeing it hands-on got me very, very excited to bring that back here.
Very cool. Yeah, I stopped in and they do an Asteria sort of community call on Mondays, and I stopped in and just listened in. It was, it was a bit over my head, but they're active and going. There's 5 or 6 folks in there really churning away, and yeah, that's great news to hear that it will be included in in a very real way. The idea of a headless app that makes it kind of interesting because you're not the game, but a game of this that structure. So yeah, that's exciting to hear.
It's mind blowing. I know that part is so cool. And so, but here's the beautiful thing, right? Like to hear you say that you want to support kind of the community and governance elements of what we're doing more generally for PPBL, having you look at what we can produce for Asteria through that lens, right? Because
Yeah.
it's fine on the TX Pipe Discord server. If the conversation is over some people's heads, that's just what it's going to be, right? Because they're building the thing.
Yeah.
They have to have these conversations. Our job is to bring those conversations down to earth, right? And make sure that whoever shows up can kind of understand these concepts. And for example, the success metric is how many people can we get to the point of having their minds blown by the concept of a headless application, right? Let's go. All right, I was able to text myself this picture after all, so let me grab this. Just going old school. There it is. Good. So yeah, here, let me see. Can I pull that into here? Can I just, oh, for heaven's sake. I don't know. Copy, paste.
And with that in mind, like because we've been doing this big experiment with gaming and role-playing games, and there's fun there, but there's this big gap, like giant valley that you have to get over, to get the context and all the things in it. But once you're actually playing the game, like really fun, meaningful problems and solutions present themselves, and you do it in a collaborative way, and all of that sort of effort and skill, knowledge kind of falls away, and you get back to basically solving problems with your friends and collaborating. And I feel like those can happen, around building a transaction or fighting a big demon in a snake pit, so or flying your spaceship around, UTXO space. It's a cool. I think I'm very glad that this could be a feature of our community.
And what I'm proud of, even going back to the primary driver we created for Gimbalabs and just the space we have together cultivated here over the last few months, I'm confident that we can see that target of getting it across to people as like an asymptote, right? We're never going to fully get there. We're never going to be as fully there as we want to be, but we can incrementally and iteratively move towards it, right? We have this shared goal, we have this trust, and we know that we're going to express everything the best we can, and then we're going to try to get better at doing it.
Okay, I dig it.
We read these. Yeah, these are legible. So yeah, you can zoom in. You can kind of see what sticky notes showed up on the board, maybe see some familiar names here. So that's pretty cool to be able to share that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Neat. Thanks. Well, you see, I tried to keep it short, and then you get me going. I'll keep going. Thanks for the space, y'all. And yeah, if you have other questions, keep them coming. That's awesome. Let's jump over to the website proposal. Ken, do you want to share a screen on this, or is there somewhere that I should navigate to?
I'll share my screen here in just a second. Here. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
we got you.
Okay. Can you see my, I've got here? Okay. So, yeah, I've been doing a little bit of stuff to show what I want to do with the website. It's a little hard to put it in words. So I've got half of it is showing and half of it is the actual proposal content. So like at first I wanted to take a look at the primary driver. So to provide open, replicable, safe spaces to learn, to explore, and to empower individuals and organizations anywhere so that they can solve meaningful problems. So what does this mean? So if you look at openness, you want to allow people the freedom to see how things work and to share information for the benefit of others. For replicability, you want to allow people to take your code and your workflows and use them elsewhere for other things if they want to, or if you set a process in place, then you want people to be able to pick up that process and run with it for their other, for whatever they want to do with it. And so safe spaces to learn and explore, you want to provide information in a way that allows people to discover ideas and how they fit together, and empowering people to solve meaningful problems. So whether, like, that's something we need to think about, like, what are meaningful problems and how do you empower people to solve them? So the process of coming up with meaningful problems and managing your ideas for how to solve them is one of the things that I want to be able to do with the Gimbalabs website. So like the question we need to ask is, should the website actually contribute towards the goals that we see in the primary driver? So for the proposal, the proposal driver, the website doesn't currently reflect the Gimbalabs primary driver. This can hinder newcomers from understanding what Gimbalabs is all about. We will look at how the website can be more open, replicable, and a safe space to learn and explore, and more empowering to people. So like these are deeper questions that should actually go into the design process of the website itself. Like I can, just this presentation that I'm doing here, this is sort of like a picture of how I want ideas to be able to fit together. Let's see. So I've done played around with some stuff like just for design and stuff. That's part of it, but the main point is the functionality. So like this is just some stuff I was playing around with. Let's see. I also have it so it can import markdown files. This part doesn't work quite right yet, and so I'm going to be spending more time on it if I can get funding for this. But it starts with a main markdown file, and then loads it up, and you can link to other files in a notes folder in the repository, and you can serve the whole page from a GitHub page, and all you need to do is push content to the notes folder, and it will update the knowledge base. So this part doesn't quite work, so I'm doing the proposal part in a slightly simpler way, but that's sort of the idea for where I want to go. So that I want to build a website that actually embodies the goals of the primary driver. I want to make it into something that's useful for people in different communities, so they can fork the repository and share their own knowledge base. And it should also be possible to maybe even connect your knowledge base to another knowledge base, and so that you can have interconnectivity between the knowledge graphs of the different repositories. And I also wanted to do things like, I've got a little presentation that I gave maybe 3 years ago, that I sort of made it into like a choose your own adventure game. I've talked a little bit about this before, but it's about Pony, the programming language. But the idea is that I want to, like, you can have different things like items, and maybe just make a presentation into a game. Like I'm thinking about how I can incorporate this into the website development itself. So like, you just got a mutable variable, and what do you want to do? Do you want to read to it? No, there's problems with trying to read a variable when someone else is writing to it. So like, this is just the idea of the kind of things that you can do. Like, if you build a knowledge graph and you've got notes for different ideas, you can find ways to connect them together into presentations or into storylines that allow people to learn about the content in the knowledge base. And so like, I can do whatever with the design side of things. Like, this was my first concept of what it should look like. I'm playing around with some other ideas here, but yeah, anyway, let's see. So as far as what's needed, like, I need to find a way to raise around 2,000 ADA to cover my rent for the next 3 months and my other expenses for this month. Like, so like, I can do all this stuff myself. Like, other people can share their ideas. I'm happy to collaborate with everybody. Like, that's just what I need to cover my own expenses, and I can work on this full time just for that amount. It's not a lot for that, but that's one of the perks in living here in Malawi, that I don't, my expenses aren't that high. Let's see, and as far as evaluation, like, all the progress, the process of evaluation, all the progress will be visible on GitHub, and people, it's a little bit subjective, like how you decide whether or not it's working or not. Like, whether it's going along the direction that everybody thinks is a good direction. And we can reevaluate this every month. So I don't need to secure funding for more than just this month. Like, if people see that there's value in putting more money and time into it later, then we can reevaluate it later. Does anyone have questions or comments, or what do you think?
This is
Hello?
fabulous. Yeah, this is
Okay.
yeah, this is really fabulous, incredibly thoughtful. And thanks for driving on it. So you have a formal proposal for 1 month. And the proposal is that you're not asking anything of anybody else's time at this moment, but you're giving people ways to opt in. So that seems in keeping with what we're trying to achieve here. If you say the proposal is for 1 month and you were to put a very concrete funding amount on it, what is that amount?
Let's see.
That's the 2000 that you mentioned?
Yeah, the 2000.
That's so 2,000 for the first month of work.
Yeah, that will cover 3 months of my rent and my other expenses for this month. So if we do continue funding for later months, it can be less than that.
Nice.
Okay. So yeah, just I think change that, right? Just change that one line, say 2,000 data, right? This proposal is for 2,000 data because the language needs to find a way to raise it. Feels
Yeah, like that's the idea is
Yeah.
like
let's
I don't
make
care
a
if it
habit of
comes
using yeah, we have to use very direct language here, right? We're talking about funding.
Okay.
So everybody has to know you have to say exactly what you mean so people can make a precise decision about that.
There, how's that?
Perfect. Yep. And honestly, I would get rid of everything else. Like I personally would not want to get into a scenario where we have to tell each other what we're going to spend the money on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If I'm
Yeah.
asking for money from this team, I don't want it to be part of the team's decision-making process, what I'm spending that money on. I think it's a dangerous precedent. So I get it. It's nice that you're sharing with us. This is going to support you for 3 months. That's wonderful. For the sake of a proposal, it's really not relevant to the proposal. Right? And now we can make a consent-driven decision on this, right? This proposal, what you're saying is you're going to work on this for a month. You're not asking for anybody's time. You are asking for 2,000 data. And now people can ask questions about this proposal, and we can take it through the consent process, maybe even right now. How do people feel about just jumping into that process together?
I'm sharing the. So it looks like there's a question in the chat.
It's Ada. Yeah, the Ada is good. That's
Newman or anybody else who's been in the S3, do you have any interest in facilitating us? I know you're kind of on the spot right now. But
yeah, for sure. The next sort of, because Ken has presented the proposal. Do we have, I mean, this is the proposal document. Can you share us the link so that we can go through it? I guess this would be the time to like to make sure that we all understand the proposal. And then there's that thing with the idea of a concern and an objection. The concern meaning that it's like your feeling of like, how do you feel about this? And an objection is like, this would be a problem because of this reason. But this is all in this sort of phase of understanding this proposal. Do we understand the proposal? And now we ask questions. And if we're willing, and this might take a bit of time, but we could quickly do a round, and that would actually be good, even not even in the consent process, but just if everyone listening could just sort of like give a reaction, maybe just a word or two or a sentence, or pose a question for understanding. And the idea of the round is not to spark a conversation among everyone, but just everyone to get their voice on the call. Yeah. Oh, is that brief response? Is that what hints, Nelson?
Yeah, I'm sharing the.
Yeah, let's do a quick round.
Let's do it. Yeah. And this could be on the step 3. Understand. Are there any questions to understand this proposal as it is written here? I can start, and I would love to get the proposal, like, so where I could read it, like as the document. And it seems, could you share this with us? Oh, here we go.
Let's see here. Not sure if this will, like, as I was just working on it locally, so it might take a minute for it to push to GitHub.
Well, that'd be fine. So maybe you don't need to respond each one. So let's just kind of quickly go through.
Yeah, I think this is.
Maybe make a note. Maybe.
Let's see here. This should work now. If people want to go to the link, let me.
So that was my just while you're working on that, Ken, we'll go through the round. James, do you have understanding proposal? Are there any, you have a question to understand as it's written?
No, just the same. I would like to be able to get my hands on it, and we do have a process provide further with a documented proposal. So yeah, Ken, if you can follow up after this meeting with a one-pager version. I think the demo is beautiful, and I don't want to take away from that. But we did set together some guidelines for how we were going to share proposals with each other.
Yeah, I've got. Yeah, that'll take me. I can probably. Yeah, work on this for the rest of the. I could probably get that to you by the end of the meeting, unless what do you? I don't know. What do you want to do?
Yeah, there is a format for a proposal. There's a proposal. Could someone find that one that was on the Notion? That would be cool.
It's okay. I've got the format. Like it was different than the one in the S3 documentation, but okay. Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I just dropped it in the chat here. This is and we did have a governance decision a couple months back that once people have a proposal here, now we can bring it into Notion, which gives us a way to actually collaborate as a team on things like this.
Yeah. So Adrian, just rolling down with this round.
No clarifying questions. I think the proposal is well written. I don't think I need more to decide on the proposal.
Oh, nice. Okay. Next on the list there, Chris. And we're gonna, Chris, if you want to come back in, go ahead. I'm just gonna take that as a pass. Claudio.
Yeah, I already said it's a very cool proposal, so for me, go ahead. Yeah.
All right. Harsha.
I personally really like the development aspect of it, but I have a clarifying question. I think this was brought up the first time the proposal was presented as well, which is how does it work once the site is live? There would be maintenance, a lot of maintenance and all of that. So how are you seeing that happening again?
And
Well, I was
Ken, let's just keep a note of so that we can
okay.
quickly go through the round and maybe other people
Okay.
will have it. Yeah. Juan.
Thank you, Newman. Yeah, I like this proposal a lot. I think any time we spend in clarifying the primary driver is well used. And my apologies for not having video, but my computer is laughing at me, so I'm trying to deal with that. Thanks.
Sweet. Nelson.
Yeah, I think the proposal is well crafted. I like the driver and I connect with the driver. I have a little concern with the implementation choice of language, ELM. I want to know if there is a specific reason why we should choose that language of implementation. The drivers are absolutely nice. The current website doesn't reflect our primary driver. They have to change yeah, the implementation language of choice. I'm thinking about that.
Okay. And Ken, do you understand that the idea of language of implementation?
Yeah, I do. I'm waiting.
Okay. Oh, like I got you. Yeah. Nora, something from you?
I think the driver's clear. Yeah, I like the proposal. And just to add on to Nelson's thing, having some consistency around what front end stacks and languages we use would be nice, just so that everyone learns one once and doesn't have to work with a whole bunch of different things for different projects.
Okay, that's good. Sebastian.
Yes, I like the proposal and I agree. But I have the same question. So Harsha and Nelson in the respect. The maintenance of the site at least in the medium term. That's it. The rest is good. Thanks a lot.
Nice. Yeah, so that sort of finishes the brief response and understanding the proposal, and we kind of mixed those two in, like, we kind of gave our thoughts and feelings about the proposal and then any like clarifying questions. Ken, do you feel like you can talk to Harsha's about how it might work after, and then this idea of the language of implementation?
Okay, so the first one, see what was the.
It was like how does it work like after implementation? Like who might update, or if Harsha, if you want to kind of give us some.
Yeah, I got it. So if you look at the bottom of this description here, the last item, I'm also thinking about ways to allow the website to introspectively show people how it works. So like in the content that I would put on the website, it would describe how everything in the website works. And as far as the reason to use Elm, like with code bases, like even code bases that are over 10,000 lines of code, it's been like Elm code, like it doesn't break. Like you don't get runtime exceptions in Elm. And so like Elm is a functional programming language that's similar to Haskell, but without some of the advanced features. But it, like basically you have guarantees that your code is going to work, and those guarantees aren't possible if you use JavaScript, or TypeScript doesn't enforce correctness guarantees. It allows you to provide them like in an ad hoc way, like where you can add it to different things, like one place at a time, but it doesn't give you any guarantees that your code is going to perform correctly. So that's part of why I want to use Elm for this. And also, as far as styling things, like I don't want to have to force people to like when you're doing like front end development with HTML, JavaScript, and CSS, you have to learn all of those things, and they're all separate things that you need to work together. With Elm, it's just one simple language that you can do everything there. Like part of this website, like I've got SVGs embedded in the website that change colors based on the color scheme that's being chosen and stuff like that. It's not something that's necessarily easy to do if you're just using the regular web stack. I could also implement WebGL features if I need to in Elm. So like you don't have any restrictions on what you can do other than that you're not allowed to do anything that will cause runtime errors. So as long as the logic of your web application is correct, so that you don't have logical errors in your application, you don't have to worry about runtime errors or other like bugs that would cause things to crash.
Okay. So we've gone through brief response rounds. We could invite another round, like now that we've gotten that, and then also that we've spent a little more time and go to actually just into step 5, which is check for possible objections. And the idea, again, that idea of the objection as an argument and a concern is what they say, an assumption that cannot be backed by reason or any enough evidence to qualify as an objection. So an objection has sort of like reasons, and a concern is just is more vague. Doesn't. So do we want to go through? Let's go through another round if that's what we would like.
We make one decision as a group, because what we did decide previously is that we do want people to have lead time to read the proposed format. And
yeah, that actually might be a good way to sort of like bring this to closing now, is just because I think that we all want to have a time to read through, and that in my mind is a big sticky thing. Let's if that's okay, I would suggest we pause, we get that document, and then make an agenda item, possibly maybe even tomorrow or next week, to run through the consent process and make a decision. Does that feel good?
Is that okay with everybody? I mean, and we do need a backlog. We need a log book of decisions we've made. But this is a very clear one in my memory. So knowing that we need a logbook, is everybody okay moving forward with this practice that proposals have to be written in a certain format and shared before we can start a consent process?
I agree with that. Juan, Nori, Sebastian, you all together?
Agree.
Yeah. Sebastian agrees.
I agree.
Yeah.
No objections.
Yeah. That's Ken, how does that feel?
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool.
Coming soon then. That's great.
All right. I declare this section terminate. Thanks. That was great. I love to. That was fun to go through the things.
Thanks for jumping in an impromptu way.
Yeah.
And seriously, thanks for the thoughtful development already, Ken. It's pretty amazing.
No problem.
And I mean, I like the idea of offloading, of like Ken being the website sort of person, and then really pulling that. It seems like he's willing and skilled enough, and it would really pull stuff. It would help, I think, you, James, out, because I think as it is now, you're the sole web administrator, builder.
That was true
Updater.
that was only true until somewhat recently. Sebastian has really been doing an incredible amount of contributing and starting to learn that. So I want to give a shout out there.
Yeah, so Sebastian, let's make sure that you really review, and we'll get your opinions on when we go through the next time. That's cool.
Sure.
Because you're in my mind like an elevated stakeholder, because this would change your, this would move your cheese in a manner of speaking. Do you guys
I'm also interested in how people would want to format information that they want to push to the website too.
Yes.
So
yes. And I think that speaks to what Harsha was talking about, like how does it work after the site is live? Because we've gotten these new developments, like with the blog posts, and I know that Alex was putting things in there, and Hinson was putting things in there when we did the Discord redesign. And so I would love to keep that as a feature. And it seems like one of the things that most people resonated with positively was the driver focus, that there's a consistency of driver focus. And then one of the concerns that people had was this idea of the language of implementation and using Elm.
Yeah. Another good reason to use Elm is it's has one of the most helpful compilers as far as error messages that you can find. It's better than any other language I've seen, and I've studied at least a couple dozen programming languages.
Nice. Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking forward. Yeah.
Okay.
Seb?
Yeah, no, in general, I like the Ken's proposal, yeah, and I think if we give Ken the funds they need to free his mind, he can surprise us. So in general, I don't have any. I feel really good with the proposal, and I think Ken will do a really good job. Just let's give the man his money and let's continue. Thanks a lot.
Nice.
Was that a line from Rounders right there?
Maybe. Marco is
Maybe.
All right, cool. Hey, let me make really, really quick work of a short update on where we're at with PPBL. I wanted to tie this briefly back to Newman's question from earlier. So plan for governance season. One kind of complementary question I've been wondering about is, once Plutus PBL launches, the time we're using right now for open spaces was what was last year live coding time. And so I just I don't have a formal proposal about this yet. I just wanted to throw this open question to everybody, and we can follow up on it over the next few weeks. But what's the right way to spend Wednesday and Thursday, 1430 to 1600? How would it feel maybe if one of those days was more of a student-facing live coding session, and the other day was really oriented towards this open space work we're doing? And yeah, if that's a question everybody could take with them and kind of toss it around, right? Maybe they can be concurrent meetings. Maybe it can be one is Wednesday, one is Thursday. My instinct is no matter what we do, they're going to start to blend together in a beautiful way over time. But we need to figure out how to start and what we want to provide in terms of Plutus PBL live coding. So I thought that really, Newman, what you were saying about seasons of governance resonated with me because I've been thinking about that. And I'll ask that question again tomorrow. Maybe we can move towards a way to approach that. What is live? Share the browser. PlutusPBL.io has been updated. What it has is a whole bunch of placeholder content.
My God.
Last year's course is gone. It's been up there for 15 months. So what do we have here? We've got a link to a Git repo. This is the repo for this project. This project is not where the course lives. The course is going to live in Andamio, where we're writing the content. And this is where people will move through lesson by lesson. Okay, lessons look like this. This lesson's looking pretty good. Big shout out to Sebastian, who made a new kind of little animation. Oh, that's loud. Sorry. Okay. That really took us up a level of production in terms of that. Then it goes over to little old me. Okay, blah, blah, blah.
Work in progress.
Seb, thank you.
Well done.
So we've got the course on Andamio. And what's the purpose of PlutusPBL.io now? As we discussed a few weeks ago, the purpose of this site is to be a live demonstration where anybody can come and take a look at the source code. You're going to be able to go and look at the components and see what the transactions are. And we can ask people as assignments in the course to make contributions to this guy right here. One of the things that was hard in previous years is just keeping different example repos organized and up to date. So what I did over the last day is just created those repos. And now they're all here, course repositories. We've got the front end template. This is the same link as the one down here that I just showed you, this project itself. We've got Aiken examples and Plutus examples. Obviously, for other smart contract languages, we will likely want to have other source repos where people can look at examples. Each of these has now a link to, this is a mostly empty Git repo. It has a couple of things just that I pulled over from last year. Actually, and I think the Aiken one isn't started yet. Yeah, that's just a blank link. We've got some transaction examples. So maybe this will look familiar to people who have looked at the course before, right? This takes you through a minting transaction, for example, and it's all in a repo. And then we've got the Asteria work that was just started yesterday. It's only a README. But like I said, Claudio and Chris and I got together and just made a little plan for building a couple of transactions to start messing around with Asteria. And that will continue on Tuesdays next week, for example. So no code is here yet, but at least the placeholder is here. And in the Gimbalabs set of repos, you'll see that all of these are the most recent ones. Plutus examples, transaction examples, the front end. We need the Aiken one coming soon, but hopefully this makes it really easy to navigate these. And why do we need these? Because we're going to be referencing them from the course material, right? It's a project-based learning course. Andamio handles the video and the text. Fine, right? But when we're asking people to actually go do something, they're going to link out to a project. And once again, that's why this site right here exists. You've got a calendar. So this has the different live sessions that happen. All of these just link to the same place. It's a public calendar. There we go. And we can keep going. And then live examples coming soon. But the first two for Module 101, people are going to be able to mint their contributor token from right here. And then in Module 102, they're going to be able to play around with the faucet and start familiarizing with that. So Some rails are in place. There's some content to finish in the course. I wanted to get this example done so that I can just, I took on writing of lessons 4 and 5, okay? But with those written, I think tomorrow we are on track for a soft launch to this course. And that's the beautiful part. It's a soft launch. In past years, you know, the week we release the course, a couple people notice it, and then we just slow and steady, we keep rolling it out. And it, you know, as people discover it over time, they're able to move through at their own pace. So that's the update there. We don't have time for action on this today. That's fine. We'll pick some of this stuff up tomorrow. And like I said, I have a few action items that I'm going to cover today. But any quick questions? I know we have a limited time left. Any questions blocking anybody from participating or anything like that?
No, I think.
More to come. Excited to ask for help. When I go back over to the Miro board for just one more moment. It's nice that the collaborative approach to this course is underway. Shout out to Chris for, Chris, you found some Andamio AI generated headings and they shouldn't have been there. And I'm sorry about the confusion. I didn't realize they were still there. So we'll go through and just simplify that lesson because we really don't want to inundate people with too much information in the second lesson. Alex, thanks for the hilarious narrative. If you can think about what kind of video we could throw in with that, it would be interesting. And like I said, I've got these ones, Nelson, Harsha, I'll ping you guys as soon as those are ready for your review. That'll probably be late today. And then the sprint starts for next week. So we ain't going to get bored, but lots of fun ahead. We got time for just a super quick checkout. Let me start at the bottom of my screen with Nori. How you leaving us today?
Oh, I'm already unmuted. Great meeting. I loved all the conversations and I love seeing kind of the leaning into S3, but also the attention to pull away and get stuff done. I found it interesting that there weren't any real breakout rooms this time. So a kind of a departure from previous sessions and getting everybody together in one place to get their thoughts and opinions and stuff was cool. And presentation's great. I love hearing about all the great stuff that happened at the different events. Thanks.
Thanks for being here. Newman.
You know, it's funny, I was like, you know, governance fatigue, but then this felt like it was more actionable governance. It's like we weren't talking about S3, we were doing S3. So that really satisfied. And then to look at the PBL, which is the reason why I'm here, like I feel like I'll be able to be able to lean into helping the students as they come, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Thanks. Harsha.
I actually really enjoyed the session. I think we tried out a lot of governance stuff, so that was really fun. Yeah.
And Sebastian.
Very good session. Really hard work around governance. That's really awesome. Thanks a lot.
And Adrian.
Good meeting. I think we covered a lot of different stuff and felt productive.
Chris.
Yes, well, it was a really good session. I had a little issue with my sound in the computer, but so I missed a little part of the session. But yeah, it was really good.
Thanks for being here. Nelson.
Yeah, thanks everyone. I had a really fun time. Yeah, I think it was a productive meeting. We did go through a lot of things, I think. Covered a lot. I'm really excited about the PBL starting, learners coming in. I hope to
And Claudio.
It was a fun presentation. I love Crane's presentation. I wonder once I'm kind of confident that the proposal will go through, so he will get to redesign this website in really neat fashion. And he might regale us with maybe a playground presentation of how you build this thing with Elm, and so we all learn a bit more about this, I think. So look forward to that. Cheers.
Cheers. And Juan.
Thank you, James. Yeah, this is a great session. I think we advanced a lot in S3. The governance part with Ken's proposal was a great exercise to accomplish. Then PPBL 2024, it looks great. I just browsing the site to play with it, and yeah, I mean, it is a great session. Thank you.
And Ken.
Yeah, it was good, and part of like with the website stuff, it's really closely related to the other things I've wanted to do for a long time with knowledge management, and I've got a lot of ideas about how to use this work for bigger and better things in the future too. So I'm excited about where things are going.
I too had fireworks going off in my mind when you were demonstrating the validation there in the browser. That has some really nice student facing implications. Yeah, can't believe what we accomplished today. I'll have a pep in my step. It feels like our hard, slow work is starting to pay off a little bit. So thanks for being here for it. Let's bring this to the world, friends. Let's organize and get stuff done. Sorry to have to cut this one short. It feels like we could keep going. I know I've got another spot to be, but already looking forward to tomorrow. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Thank you.